Welcome to the video lecture on project resources and site planning. So in this video, we'll be seeing the objectives of material management, primary and secondary objectives, inventory control. In that, we'll be seeing the ABC analysis. Then we'll be seeing site layout and planning. Now let us start with it. So first of all, what do you understand by the term material? So material is the central item and activity of any organization. An organization exists and works for the material only. Then the main purpose of any organization is to make profit, and without material they cannot make any profit. The International Materials Management Society takes a leading role in looking after the activities in this field. Now the reasons for popularity of the materials: the amount spent on material is higher than other inputs. The materials offer considerable scope for reducing cost and improving the profit. Improving return on investment depends upon the effective utilization of materials. Materials add value to the product. Quality of the end product depends on the materials, and materials management assumes responsibility for whatever happens in purchasing, storing, inventory, or any other area connected with materials. The efficiency of any organization depends upon the availability of the right materials in right quantity at the right place and at the right place. And finally, we can say that the materials are the lifeblood of man's development. Now, the definition of the materials management. The International Federation of Purchasing and Material Management defines material management as a total concept having its definite organization to plan and control all types of materials, its supply, and its flow from raw stage to the finished stage, so as to deliver the product to customer as per his requirements in time. So this involves materials planning, purchasing, receiving, storing, inventory control, scheduling, production, physical distribution, and marketing. Let us start the importance of the materials management. So the importance of the material management can be gauged from the fact that in any typical building project, the share of material cost is nearly 60%, whereas the other cost, that is labor cost, is nearly 25%, whereas petrol, oil, and lubricants, overheads, taxes, and profits are about the 5%. So the material management deals with the meticulous planning even before the start of the project to its completion in selection, procurement, storage, and efficient use of the construction materials. Materials management deals with the managing of the materials along with the cost. The materials can be the materials purchased, which are the raw materials for inputs or semi-finished products or final products called as the output. These are the different materials which are being used at the construction site. They are the cement, steel, bricks, stones, aggregate, sand, soil, bitumen, sanitary items, electrical items, timber, and paints. So it is estimated that about 10 to 20% of all the materials delivered to the site end up as a waste or illegally removed during the construction phase. It has been noticed that large quantities of the building materials are allowed to be burned in each year due to inadequate controls on the project sites. So the aim of material management is to get the right quality at the right with the right quantity of supplies at the right time, at the right place, and for the right cost. So the general objectives of the material management are to minimize the material cost, to procure and provide material of desired quality when required, to purchase, receive, transport, and store materials efficiently, and to reduce the related cost, to ensure availability of required quantity of materials as and when required, so that the construction work is not hampered or stopped. Again, the next objectives can be to reduce the transportation cost of the materials, to provide proper storage and distribution of materials so as to reduce the wastage and pilferage, to modify paperwork procedure in order to minimize the delays in the procuring materials. Also, speedy disposal of materials which are no more required. So now we'll be seeing the primary objectives of the materials management. So the first can be buying the best item at the lowest cost, then reduction in inventory cost and high inventory turnover, maintaining the flow of production, maintaining the consistency of quality, optimization of acquisition and position resulting in lower cost, cordial relationship with the suppliers, maintaining good records, contribution towards competitiveness, and personal development. So these were the primary objectives. Now we'll be seeing the secondary objectives: promotion of standardization with suppliers, development of reciprocal relation with customers, committees to decide on make the committees to decide on the economic make or buy decisions, development of interdepartmental relationships, and to undertake the acquisitions. Now the functions of material management. So again, it can be classified into two things, that is primary function and secondary function. So in the primary function, the first one is the materials requirement planning. So in that, we'll be seeing the planning of material in manufacturing is necessary function in any organization, as inventory of materials involves nearly 60% of the total investment of the organization. The material requirement planning is a technique used to plan materials starting from the raw materials, finished parts, components, sub-assemblies, and assemblies as per the bill of materials to procure or produce them to support a master production schedule. Next one can be purchasing. All the organizations need an efficient and economic purchasing and procurement of its various supplies of materials from the suppliers. The purchasing function can be stated as follows. The requisition of material is necessary by proper authority to initiate its purpose, to select proper supplier for the materials requisitioned before placing an order, to negotiate about the price of the material from the supplier and it will be purchased at the cheapest price. The quality of material must be assured and should not be compromised with the cost of the material. Now, the next function of the material is inventory planning and control. This will be seeing later on in this video in detail. Next is ascertaining and maintaining the flow and supply of materials. Next, quality control of the materials. Now the secondary functions of the management. So the first one can be the standardization and simplification. Next will be the design and development of the product, make and buy decision, coding and classification of materials, forecasting and planning. Now we'll be seeing the materials management process. So if you are starting from this point, so we'll be seeing that it can be planning, then purchasing, then delivery of the product, then the receiving, then validation, quality control, acceptance, inventory control, tracking, warehousing and storage, handling the project materials, issuance and distribution, then transport, and final consumption and end usage. So this is a typical material management process cycle. Then we'll be seeing next is the inventory control. So first of all, we'll be seeing what is an inventory. So inventory can be defined as a usable but idle resource. If resource is some physical and tangible object such as materials, then it is termed as a stock, whereas the raw materials, equipments, finished goods, etc. are called as the inventories. So following are the two purposes of the inventory control of the materials at the project site. That is to avoid the excess blockage of funds of the organization, to see that the project is not starved of materials when needed. So the following are the reasons to justify the inventory. First one is the hedges against the contingencies. That is, problem due to fires, flood, etc. can be minimized if the stock holding is increased. Then it improves the customer service. Procurement and transportation cost will be reduced if the lot sizes are large. Now we'll be seeing what is the meaning of inventory control. So inventory control can be defined as which ensures the supply of required quantity and quality of inventory at the required time, and at the same time prevent unnecessary investment in the inventories. So this is the definition of the inventory control. Now what are the objectives of the inventory control? The first objective can be to ensure that the supply of raw materials and finished goods will remain continuous, so that the production process is not halted and the demands of the customer are duly met. The next objective can be to minimize the carrying cost of inventory. The next objective is to keep the investment in inventory at the optimum level. Next is to reduce the losses of theft, obsolescence, and wastage, etc. Next objective can be to make arrangement for sale of slow moving items. And finally, the objective can be to minimize inventory ordering cost. For the purpose of inventory control, the following are the two purposes of the inventory control. That is, we have seen that to avoid the excess blockage of funds of organization and to see that the project is not starved of materials when needed. For the techniques of the inventory control. So these are the various techniques of the inventory control, and these are the basis of this, and what is the main use of this technique we'll be seeing. So the first technique is ABC technique, that is always better control technique. It is the basis of this technique is the value of control. The main use is to control the inventories. The next technique is VED, that is vital, essential, and desirable. The basis of this method is criticality of the item. The main use of this technique is to determine the stocking levels. The next technique is FSN, that is fast, slow, and not moving. The basis of this material is the consumption pattern of the item. The main use of this technique is to control the obsolescence. The next technique is SDE, that is scarce, difficult, and easy to obtain. Scarce, difficult, and easy to obtain. The basis for this is the problem faced in procurement, and the main use is the lead time analysis and purchasing strategies. The next technique is SOS, that is seasonal, and off-seasonal items. So the basis of this is the nature of supplies, and the main use of this is the procurement or holding strategies for seasonal items. The next technique is the HML, that is high, medium, and low. So the basis of this is the unit price of the material. The main use is to control the purchasing. The next technique of the inventory control is XYZ, that the basis of this technique is the value of items in the storage. The main use is to review the inventory and their uses at the scheduled intervals. And the final technique we'll be seeing is the GOLF, that is government, ordinary, local, and foreign. So the basis of this material is the sources of material, and the main use of this is the procurement from the different sources. So these are the various techniques we have seen. So in this video lecture, we'll be seeing the ABC analysis out of these methods. So let us start with the ABC analysis. So the ABC analysis, this method is also known as the stock control according to value method, selective value approach, and proportional parts approach. If this method is applied with care, it ensures considerable reduction in storage expenses, and it is also greatly helpful in preserving the costly items. The principles of the ABC analysis. These are the various principles. The first principle can be the analysis depends on its annual consumption values. The next principle is the analysis based on the material price, material credibility, and available status of material, material physical characteristics, and frequency of material usage. Also, the next principle of the ABC analysis is it also depends upon the degree and characteristics of control to be exercised by the management. The necessity of control, the necessity of which material to be placed under control, and particular characteristics of material. So these are the principles of ABC analysis. Now this ABC analysis classifies the inventory material or the items. So what is the classification? We'll be seeing them. So materials in this method are classified into three categories in accordance with their respective values. The first can be the group A. So it constitutes of the costly items or the materials which may be only of 10 to 20% of the total items, but these account for nearly 70% of the total value of the stores. So a greater degree of control is exercised to prevent these items. So the next classification can be the group B. So it consists of the items which constitutes nearly 20 to 30% of the store items and represents about 20% of the total values of the store. A reasonable degree of care may be taken in order to control these items of materials. Group C, so these are about 70 to 80% of the items and is covered costing about 10% of the total value. So this can be referred to as the residuary category. A routine type of care may be taken in case of this third category, that is group C category. Here we can see if we are plotting the graph on the x-axis, if we are plotting the inventory of the items, percentage of the inventory items, and on the y-axis if we are planning the percentage of the value of the rupees, so or the percentage of the value of the rupees, then we can see that the A items, the percentage of the value is nearly 80%, but the inventory is nearly only 10%. The inventory quantity is nearly only 10%. Now, if you see the next item, that is B items, so it can be nearly up to 20%. The cost can be up to 20%. Also, the percentage of inventory can be nearly 20 to 25%. And also, if you see the third item, so it is nearly up to the 10%. The value of is nearly 10%, but they're costing nearly 70% or 65 to 70%. So this is the classification of class A, class B, and class C. So just we can see the summary of the class A items, class B items, and class C items. So class A items are small in number but consume large amount of resources, and they must have the tight control, rigid estimate of the requirements, strict and closer watch, low safety stocks, and managed by top management. So opposite of this can be the C items. So these are large in numbers but consume lesser amount of resources and must have ordinary control measures. Purchase is based on the usage estimates and high safety stocks are being maintained for this. And the intermediate of this both, that is A and C item, are the B items, and they must have moderate control. They are purchased based on the rigid requirements, reasonably strict watch and control are there, moderate safety stock levels are being maintained, and they're managed by the middle level management people. So now if we are seeing the characteristics, just we can compare with the help of the table. So we can see that if the characteristics of the consumption, then item A are the high consumption, B are the moderate, and the C are the low. Whereas control required in case of the A item are strict, B items are moderate, and the C item are loose or low control. Safety stocks we need to have very low for this. For this we can keep a low safety stock and we can keep a high safety stock for item C over here. If you see for ordering, so A item can be frequent ordering can be then B item can be one in 3 months, and C items can be bulk ordering can be done. Now for follow-up of the A items, we have to take a maximum follow-up of the A items. Then for B items, we can make a periodic follow-up, and C items, we make very rare follow-up for the C items. So control report being developed. So these are being developed for weekly terms. These are being developed for monthly terms, and C items can be done for the quarterly terms. Now the estimation for A item, accurate forecasting in material management is needed, and for B item, so based on the past record, we can make the estimation, and for the C item, we just make a rough estimate. Similarly, value analysis for A item, we are making it maximum. For B item, moderate value analysis is being done, and for C item, the minimum value analysis we are doing. So the sources for A item, we need a maximum or many sources are identified. Similarly, for B, less sources are identified, and for C item, very few sources are being identified. Now, the purchasing for A item, central thing is being done. A central group is doing the purchasing for A item. B item, a combination of central is being done and the other people, and C item, decentralization can also be done, or it is being done over there. Lead time, we need to take maximum effort to reduce the lead time. For B item, moderate efforts are to be taken, and for the C item, we'll take the minimum efforts to reduce the lead time. Whereas handling, so A item are handled by the top management people, B items are handled by the middle uh, management people, and C items are totally delegated. Now let us see the procedure or the process of the ABC analysis. So the first procedure can be to collect all the data of inventory, and we need to prepare a list of all items of stores indicating the unit price of each item and annual number of consumption. And then we need to calculate the usage in rupees, that is annual consumption of items units multiplied by unit cost in rupees, which is equal to the annual consumption value. For stores, it will be quantity issued multiplied by unit rate of each item. Then we need to arrange all these items in descending order of total value of annual consumption of each item in rupees. Now next, mention the number of item numbers against their annual consumption. Then we need to calculate the cumulative annual consumption value. Then we need to calculate cumulative annual consumption value percentage. Then we need to, after finding out this percentage, we need to categorize each item according to the percentage and cost. So the advantage of this ABC analysis is that investment in inventory can be maintained. It is easy to control the wastage of costly items. It helps in maintaining safety to the total cost. It is easy to maintain stock and turnover rate. It helps to exercise selective control when confronted with large number of items, and it rationalizes the number of the number of items, and reduce the inventory. So it has also some disadvantage. So there, the proper standardization and codification of inventory items is required. It considers only the money value, not the importance of the items or functioning. And periodic review becomes difficult when ABC analysis is being applied. And we will be seeing the applicability of the ABC analysis. So it extends to almost all aspects of the material management, such as purchasing, receiving, and inspection. It can be used in any setting to control the cost. Now let us understand with a numerical how to perform the ABC analysis. So in the first row, we are seeing the item number. So there are nearly 10 items. That is 101. The name of the item is 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, and like this up to 110. So similarly, now this second row is showing us the unit cost of this each item. So like this, from 5 per unit cost, 11, 15, 8, 7, 16, 24, 9, and 12. These are the unit cost of this each item. And the annual demand, that is 48,000 is the demand for this item. Similarly, 2,000 is the demand for this item. Similarly, the 300 is the demand. Likewise, these are the various demands for the each item. So what to do? We need to calculate the total spending per year. So we are knowing the unit cost, we are knowing the annual demand, then what we need to do is we need to calculate the total cost, that is multiplying 5 by 48,000 will be giving us this value, that is 2,40,000 over here. Similarly, we need to multiply 11 by 2000 and it will give us this value. So likewise, we need to calculate the total cost which is required per year according to its unit cost and the annual demand. After doing this, we need to calculate the usage of item in the total usage, that is percentage we need to calculate. So we have found out unit cost, then we have found out the annual demand, also we have found out the total cost per year. So in this we can observe that the maximum cost is of this item 107, that is 3,60,000. After this it is this item, that is 2,40,000. Likewise, we need to calculate the percentage. Now this item will be the top item, which is the most item with the most value over here. Now 107 is the item with the most value over here. So we can see over here that is 3,60,000. So what is the total percentage? If we calculate the total percentage like this, that is 3,60,000 divided by 7,37,900, then percentage will be 48,000. Similarly, 2,40,000 divided by 7,37,900. So this will be giving us 32%. Likewise, we need to calculate all the percentage and the summation of this should be 100%. Then what is done next? So we need to do the cumulative percentage, that is 48.8 over here. Then this will be 48.8 plus 32.5, that is the 81.3. Then again 81.3 plus 61, that is we are calculating the cumulative percentage, and finally it will be 100%. So now from this we can see that these two items, that is item number 107 and 101, these two items constitute nearly 80% of the total cost we are seeing. So these can be classified under the A items or the A value here. So class A items can be 107 and 101. So the items of the total percentage can be 20%, whereas the value of this is the 81.6, and we are taking the action as the close control. Similarly, B items can be 109, 105, 102, which are the percentage are 40%, but usage is 50.2, and regular review can be taken. And class C items can be 104, 110, 103, 108, which is also nearly 40%, but the percentage usage is 2.5. So infrequent use can be taken over. So this is the procedure of calculating the ABC analysis over here. Similarly, we can see a different numerical over here. So we are calculating the annual usage over here. Then we are giving the ranking over here. That is, this is 5950 is the first rank in annual percentage. So again, we are doing the cumulative percentage with this. Then we are assigning the category over here. So that is A. This percentage is A. Then up to this percent, up to 90% is B items, and remaining are the C items. So likewise, also we can do it. So again, we are doing the categorization of this. So item A is nearly 70% of the value, but it is the single value, and percentage of item is 10. Similarly, B items are 20% and categories is nearly 20%, and C items are 70% of the inverse, and it is also nearly 10% of the value. So likewise, we can do the summary of the ABC items. Now the next topic in this is the site layout and planning. So what do you understand by site layout and planning? So site layout and planning is an important task that involves identification of temporary facilities which will be needed to support the construction operations. So site layout planning is about determining the size and shape and approximately positioning of the temporary facilities within the boundaries of the construction site. So proper site layout planning will improve the site safety for workforce and the public. So the primary consideration in the effective site layout planning is safety and higher productivity. In addition to the smooth and low cost flow of materials, labor and equipment within the site. So now we need to identify which are the facilities or the temporary facilities where will be needing or will need. So the following are the temporary facilities which are identified to be construction on site. So it can be first can be the site office, second one is the booking office where the people come, subcontractors office, first aid and medical room, guard room, toilet on site, engineer and staff quarters, labor quarters, equipment maintenance room, parking for machines, bar bending shop, fabricated rebar storage yard, carpentry shop, cement warehouse, batch plant and aggregate storage, testing lab, material storage lab, water tank and scaffolding storage, and finally canteen. So these are the some of the guidelines for the area. So we can see that site office can be nearly should be, these are just the guidelines. That is nearly it should be 36 square meter. Booking office can be nearly 50 square meter. Subcontract office it can be 104. Likewise, all the areas are being mentioned over here. We can make the use of this while planning of a site layout. So we have seen that it includes the warehouse, it includes site office, it includes the first aid station, then batching plant, trains, public toilets, laborless restroom, and the canteens. So this is a typical site layout of a bridge site, wherein we can see over here that this is the new site over here, which is to be constructed. And here the abutment materials are being kept over here, another construction materials are being there, and this is the also the construction area, second construction area, and this is also the construction areas. Here also we are keeping the abutment materials, we are keeping here the construction materials, here we are keeping the finished member storage area in case of precast, fabrication area for beams, stringers and basin, this is that area. So fabrication area for the truss members, this is there. Then this is the tool room, then this is the stores, this is the office, and this is the stock material storage yard. So and these are the access road. So there are typical entry point and this is the exit point over there, and here it is the equipment and motor park. So this is a typical site layout. So thank you very much for this. Hope you have understood most of this point in this lecture. So thank you very much.